and welcome to Thelma's podcast. How are you all? I hope you're right. Today's Sunday. Sunday always means end of weekend, and it means work the next day. Anyway, I hope you're okay. Today I'm being joined by a friend of mine. We met at uni. His name is Dom, and I want to know what has been happening with him after become an author. Okay, Dom. So what you need to do? You need to request to join. Okay. I'm so excited. Hello.
Oh yeah.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. Can you see me? Because sometimes people can't see me.
No, I can definitely see you.
Okay, good. Though sometimes it happens. People can't see me. Anyway, introduce yourself to us.
Hi, I'm Dom. I've known Thelma for a long time. I haven't seen you in a long time either.
That's true.
Which is nice. And I'm a recently published author. Other than that, I'm pretty much a nobody.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We'll be the judge of that. And frankly, you are somebody. You are somebody that is so creative, so intellectual. So please tell me, after uni, we left uni 2008. So can you tell me, what did you do after uni?
What did I do after uni? When we left uni, we went straight into...
Hello? Hello? Jesus Christ, what's going on? I'm so sorry about this. Hello? Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. So where was I? Yeah. So
after uni,
we went after uni. We went into the recession, which was good fun. And then yeah. So then I ended up working for a pub for about 2 years, trying to work out what I wanted to do. And I ended up, out of frustration, because I couldn't get into London that easily after we finished, that I couldn't get any sort of film work. So I just started writing out of frustration. And I just tried to improve my writing skills, tried to write about what films I liked, started my own blog, tried to get a writing experience other places, and then I just sort of jumped between jobs for the next 13 years.
Yeah. What is going on here? Dom, have you got a good connection? Jesus Christ, that never happened before. I'm so sorry about this, guys. Hello?
Is it my reception or yours?
I've got no idea. Is your reception okay?
Oh, good. Let's try it again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. So you're saying, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're saying that out of frustration, you'd be writing, you couldn't find jobs. When did you decide to move out of London?
Shortly after we finished uni, actually.
Okay.
So I was out of uni for a couple of months, and I was just back in Hertfordshire.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't happy doing anything. I had to do something creative. So the writing was the only thing I could do that was creative, trying to find other work. And then, yeah, just jump between jobs. And then, long story short, I started writing for other publications.
Jesus Christ. Listen, I am going to check. I'm going to do something about my connection. This is not good. Honestly, what is this? This has never happened to me before. Sorry, guys. Okay. Dom, are you with us? Dom?
Right. I've joined.
I am gonna switch off my Wi-Fi and I'll be back in a second. 1 second. I'm back. I'm on my phone's data because I'm thinking maybe it's my thing. So Hopefully she'll be okay. So yeah, I felt just like you after uni.
Mm,
I wish I could have leave London.
mm.
In fact, I wanted to return to Switzerland, but you know, I was pregnant. As you saw me, I was pregnant, so I was pretty much I couldn't go nowhere. Anyway, so we don't need to talk about that. We talk about your book. So when did you start writing that book?
So I actually, it's not the first book I've written. So this is the first book I finished, but it's not the first one I've written. So when in between all these writing projects and writing for different places, I started writing two different books. One was about a cocktail book based on films, which was
Cocktails.
yeah. I was trying to make cocktails based around films and their titles and trying to make them related to that, and it just wasn't working. And I was getting quite hungover, and it was not a good idea, so I just stopped doing it. And then I stopped drinking for a bit. And then the other book I started, I was writing for about 5 years, and it was a book called Return of the Sequel.
Okay.
And I was writing about different sort of underappreciated sequels from like the 1970s through to the 2000s. And I was trying to do it. I actually was sort of I drafted out about 2 or 3 volumes of that because it was getting quite big. And then the idea was that I was writing about them in a positive sense. And then also at the end of the sort of essay would be an interview with someone who was part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing that. I got quite far. And then off the back of that, I got some writing gigs for for a Blu-ray release for a Van Damme film that I really liked. So I was really happy about that. And then after that, I just got really despondent again because it was taking forever to get where I needed to get to, and a lot more people were talking about sequels by that point, and I kind of like didn't really have much to say anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I couldn't do it. So yeah, so anyway, I went back to working a normal day job, and then COVID hit, and I lost my job. And oh, by the way, in this period of time, I'd already moved from London to Bath.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I moved, and then about a year later, I had a new job, and then I lost that job after my wife and I got married shortly after because COVID hit, and then so then I was like, wow, okay, so the world's in lockdown. I don't have anything to do, and I want to do something creative, so I'm not mentally struggling anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I started writing a retrospective article for one of the films, which was A Guy with a Dark Hero. So the second film, which was quite important to me as a kid. And I was just going to do like an anniversary piece, and then I was going to pitch it to like a sci-fi website or a horror film website or whatever. And the idea was, oh, if I can get a bit of information from a few people that worked on that film, I can do a really nice retrospective. And I put it up on Twitter that I was doing it, and then someone got in contact with me and said, "Oh, I know someone that might have worked on that film. Do you want me to put you in contact?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And he sent me the email, and I emailed the guy, and the guy was called Wyatt, and he'd actually worked on both of the Guyver films. So I said, "Okay, you okay if I interview you?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." So I talked to him, and then we ended up talking for 4 hours on Zoom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I got quite a lot of information, and then afterwards, I came downstairs. I was absolutely buzzing from it, and I came downstairs to my wife, and I said, "I've got all this information, and you know, I've got to figure out what to cut out from it to put in the article." She just sort of looked at me and just went, "Just write a book. Just do the book. Just do a book."
Good.
And I went, "All right, fine. I'll listen to you for a change." And then
Can you
and then
please say that to Paul? Paul never listens to me. You listen to her for change. But look at you now. You listen to her, and look at you.
Yeah, I did.
So
I did.
any idea, please tell your wife. Any idea, she should tell you, and you to pay attention and do it.
I'd love to. She's got her headphones on at the moment. She's on the Xbox, so she can't hear a single word of this. So it's fantastic. We're actually giving her some praise, and she can't hear nothing.
Okay, that's. But
But yeah, no,
she was right. I'm so like I remember when you were. I remember I was looking at your posts and I got
mm,
so curious. And it was building up and up and up to the end result. You say, "Oh, finally, I've got this." I like that you kept us waiting. Like I don't know to say like a preview of a film. Like you actually want to see the film, but you did the
yes,
same thing with your book. And I'm like, this is so cool that
yeah,
you managed to do this. I mean, a lot of people ask me, like, as a filmmaker, do you think like you are a writer? I say, well, we are writers because if you write a film, you are a
mm,
writer. So how does it feel for you to have like you've written a few books, but this one you got it published? How does it feel?
weird. It's really weird. I feel, honestly, I feel really deflated. It's a really bizarre feeling. Like I've achieved all of this. I'm like, okay, cool. And then the only way I can relate it is if, like, after we got married, you have all that build up for all that time, that period of time. You're doing all this stuff and you got all these people, and then you have that letdown reflex, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, is that it? Was that it? And it's like, fine, okay, cool. And then you kind of just sort of get on with it. And now I'm on to the process of, okay, the letdown reflex is there. I haven't really anticipated how much I haven't really started to enjoy the process yet that it's out. I saw yesterday someone had put out, someone in Japan had got a copy of it in physical. So bear in mind, I've only ever seen this on digital because that's all I've been working on for the last 3 years, right?
Wow.
So to see it like a physical book, and they had it, they took a photo of it, and it was on an angle, and I saw how thick the book spine was, and I saw how big the book was, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's real, that's really real now. Someone really
Wow.
has a copy, and I think the instant I see a copy, like when I get a copy from the publisher and I've got it in front of me, or someone else sends me a copy that they've got, it will start making it a bit more, it'll be a bit more real for me than it has
Hmm.
been.
Of course.
Um, and now it's a long haul slog that I've got to put a whole sort of promotion in place. So I've got to start talking to more people. I've been sending out review copies to people. It's really quite interesting.
So yeah,
Uh,
so you have to promote this book. So
mm.
what is it that you have to do? You have to go to libraries or you have to have events for you to be there with your books and talk about the book. So how does it work?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I'm doing I think it won't be until the new year now, but I'll do like a small little book launch locally. And then in between that, I'm going to try and do more podcasts. I'm going to try and do a few more discussions with people. Trying to make sure I'm registered as an author on something called Goodreads,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which means that I can then talk to people that have read the book,
Mm-hmm.
which is really lovely.
Yeah.
And then it's been a bit of a weird couple of days, really,
Yeah, yeah, but
in a good way, in a good
in
way.
a good way, yeah. Because for me, I love to read, and I know one day I'm going to read your book. I love to read. I like the fact that you were like, oh, you know what? Out of frustration, I started to write or whatever.
Mm,
But the thing is, it's not accident. I feel like it was meant to be, because you look
mm,
like you know exactly what you were doing, what you're writing about. And I'm thinking, gosh, what is all of this? And then I'm looking at that. How does it feel somebody from Japan has your book? Like you like Japan? I don't know.
yeah, yeah, no, I was like really I was in a coffee shop yesterday when I got a message on Twitter, and I looked at it and went, oh, right, okay. And it's really hard because I couldn't really like start getting really excitable in a coffee shop because that's just weird, isn't it? Like you can't just start going, yes, but it's a bit strange if people look at you like that. So I had to wait until I got home. But yeah, it's really weird because I've been on the verge of tears a few times in a good way. It's such a nice feeling
Mm-hmm.
that so many people that have been following me because the whole point what I wanted to do was when I was writing the book. Sorry, slight deviation, and you have to keep up with me on this, Thelma. I know what
It's
it's
all
like.
right. All right.
Is that when I started writing the book, what I wanted to do was I wanted to hold myself accountable for everything I was doing. So I got told not to talk about it on social media by a couple of writers, and I was like, okay, but why? Because well, just keep it to yourself and do what you need to do. And I went, I don't want to do that. To get myself motivated, I have to talk about it to be able to keep going with it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then out of that came this journey that people have been following me on for the last however many years it's been, of me talking, oh, I've done this, or I've spoken to this individual. Oh, this is great because I've got this person involved, or I've got this person involved, or it's taken me a year and a half to get hold of a guy called Screaming Mad George, and I finally got hold of him, and he's in Japan, and I'm doing that interview at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then that went on until 7 o'clock in the morning, and that was crazy. And then talking to other heroes that I love from horror films, like Brian Usner and stuff like that. So it was quite amazing to, like, if I go back over my social media to look at it, it's like, okay, so I have a whole chronological, like, talk properly. Do you know, like, chronology? I can't.
Yeah. Chronology,
So
yes.
yeah, of where it went. So it went from A to B to C to D, and it went through that whole through line.
Okay.
And it was the first time it went from, like, people could see what I was doing, I saw what I was doing, and I saw the work I was
Mm-hmm.
doing. So if I took a step back or I took my foot off the pedal, I was okay because I knew exactly where I was to catch up
Mm-hmm.
again.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And no, it is, but honestly, that's the thing I want my students to know, and young people, because when I work as a teacher now, and a
Mm,
lot of people, oh, I like to read. I say I like to read too. I'm a bookworm, and
mm,
then oh, Miss, I'm gonna be an author one day. I'm just gonna pick up a pen and write anything that's in my mind. And I was telling them that's not the way. When you go to
mm,
your English class, you are studying text, you are studying writers, whatever. They put a lot of thoughts into the ideas. It's not like, oh, I thought of that, I'm going to write it down. I say, mind map what you want to do.
mm.
But don't tell me you're going to just pick up a pen, no aim, no end goal, because writing is not easy. Like you said, it took you years to do one book.
Yeah,
So imagine publishing all of this. That's why I need to do these things so that they know what it takes to be a writer. It's not just like a luck, oh, I'm going to write this and that. So you have to create a
yeah,
scene. You have to create
yeah,
characters. Or if you have a book specialized into something, you have to do research.
yeah.
So when I spoke
So,
about that, they looked at me like, I said, I'm not trying to put you off, but I'm just talking about the reality. So I'm so happy for you for
yeah.
what you did. Is it going to be a follow-up, you
I
think?
don't know yet. I've got to make sure people read this one first. But
Yeah?
that's the plan. But but you're right. What you're saying to your students is absolutely correct. Like, you have to have a plan in place. You can have writing exercises where you just sit down and just write anything, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you get used to, if you want to write a non-fiction book, you get used to the flow of making it informative and engaging,
Yeah.
and then you get the correct information. With
Mm-hmm.
a fiction book, I have less experience with that, but I have written short stories. Is that you just write and then you see where it takes you? That's fine, but you also need to have some sort of plan. Like when we were making films, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we were at uni, we'd always put in we'd have to do
Yeah.
storyboards, right?
Yeah.
So we were storyboarding everything out, and we'd storyboard everything, and then that would follow in line with whatever the script was, or if we had written the script, and we had a basis of the idea of where everything was, so like a rough structure. When we
Mm-hmm.
storyboarded it, we'd put extra things in, or we'd take stuff out. That's how we were working. It's a similar process with writing. Like, the only way I was ever going to get this book done is if I split it up into pieces. So I had two massive boards, blackboards, like black card, that I had on the floor, and I had post-its that were color coded to each film. And then I sat down and I put a basic structure in place, and I spent 4 or 5 hours doing that, and just went straight through and just kept doing it. And then I took a step back. I left the boards up. I left it for 2 days, and I came back to see if it made any sense. And if it didn't, then I would rearrange things. And I went,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that's the basic structure. Right. So the basic structure is there. And then I go, okay, so if I go, now what do I do? How many interviews do I want to achieve? Or how many people do I want to make sure I can speak to? Like, my original plan was to only speak to about 10 or 15 people. And then I ended up speaking to like 42 people. And it was like, that's crazy, because someone else knew someone else. They went, okay, well, you're doing this. They'd love to talk to you about this. And then, okay, fine, put me in contact, or we'll do this, or I do that. And I got lucky on a few occasions. So, yeah, but you have to structure everything. You can't, it's really annoying, right? Because you want to be creative, which
Mm-hmm.
is unstructured in some respects. But, if you're a artist, or you're an illustrator, it's a little bit unstructured because you're free flowing a little bit more if you're drawing. But you still have to, for anything film related or book related or anything writing related, you still have to put a structure in place to be able to make sure you've got an end goal, you know where you're going with it,
Yeah.
and you stick at it. And sticking at it is the hardest thing ever, because
Yeah.
you have to motivate yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you, right? And bear in mind, I have both dyslexia and ADHD, right? So I can't, my focus is shocking at the best of times. So trying to make sure I'm going to do this, I have to really force myself, and it's tiring. And then I go, shit, have I spelled this wrong as well? And then I'm like, right. And then I have to take that out. And then so if you're neurotypical, it's a little bit easier. If you're neurodiverse, it's going to be, you've got an extra couple of hurdles you've got to get through. But that's fine, because it makes it all the more sweeter when you get to that end point. Because you've done it when someone else hasn't. You know?
Yeah. That was true. I remember at uni you were dyslexic. I know, I mean, the ADHD, I suspected that, but I wasn't sure. To be honest, back then, I didn't know what ADHD is, autism. I didn't know none of that stuff. So it must have been a challenge for you to accomplish that on top of.
Yeah.
So, how did you manage?
I was so stubborn. I was adamant that I'd finish it. Because for so many years, I've had people tell me when I'm writing that your stuff is no good, or it's not great, or, you know, it's derivative, or it's like, I could write better than that, but I'm not writing, so you should stop doing it, or, you know, you're clearly not strong enough to keep going. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? For once, I'm not going to listen to anybody. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm not listening anymore. And because it was a film or set of films that meant so much to me, because those two films were the ones that inspired me to want to make films in the first place. I was like, I'm not giving up on this. It's the one thing I had during COVID. I was like, I'm not giving up on this. I have to keep going. And I was like, I don't care what the end product is. I need to get to the end of this to make sure I've got the thing that I would want to read if I was a teenager who wanted to get into films, or if I wanted to inspire someone who was similar to me. I wanted to keep going, just keep doing it. And I did. And now I'm exhausted.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I'm sure that was expected, to be honest. But honestly, I want to say a big thank you, Dom, because I know you have things going on, you got this book and everything. But now, my last question I always ask, what is the one piece of advice would you give young people watching and my students? What would you say? For them to follow your footsteps as an author, what would you say?
Just make sure you plan it. Make sure you plan what you want to do, and make sure you've got an idea of where you want to go. And then listen to the right people. Right? So listen to the people that inspire you. Don't listen to people that are jealous. Don't listen to people that are likely to give you a nice comment. Don't listen to people that are like just going that poo-poo an idea of it being creative, and it means nothing because it's creative because you haven't finished it yet. Because those people, as soon as you finish it, will come back and start trying to talk to you again because you're like the best thing since sliced bread. So just ignore that, and just, if you've got a goal, you want to achieve it, you set out and you go and do it, and don't let anybody get in your way to get that to the end of that goal, because you can do it. It doesn't matter if you're neurotypical, neurodiverse, whatever, you can get it done.
That's so true. And also a big fat thank you. And we are going to meet up hopefully soon.
Yeah.
And also a big thank you for everything, Dom. And keep up your amazing work.
Yeah, I will do.
And listen to
thank
your wife.
I will listen to my wife.
Listen
I'm going to tell her
your
that.
wife.
Yeah, I'll tell her that.
Thank you, Dom. Have a lovely afternoon, yeah?
Yeah,
Thank
you too,
so much.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye-bye.